What is going on, folks? This is week number 15 of the Treads. This is our season one finale here. We've made it all this way. We've not been kicked off the airways, and I surely appreciate it, YouTube. Right now, we have Shane from Small Town Xotics, who has graciously enough decided to take part of his Father's Day weekend to spend here with the finale with all of us here. So I just want to say, one, thank you, Shane, and welcome to the Tread.
Thank you for having me on, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
How you doing?
No, not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, can't complain. And I mean, just want to throw this up here, folks. So in case you have not, heard of Shane or you haven't seen his website, go check it out. I think one of the really unique things here, which we'll get into a little bit, is Shane has a really interesting background. I think when you kind of look at how many years you've been in reptiles. I mean, so for folks who haven't gone to the website, who haven't seen it, who haven't read it, I mean, you've been in and around reptiles for what, 20 plus years, technically, around messing with them.
And then, like my whole life, basically. But
right.
To some degree.
And then from there, I mean, you kind of jump back in, from kind of starting to do your different breeding projects and breeding. I mean, how many years ago now?
Well, it was 2019 when we formed Small Town Xotics and started building the collection. So
right. Yeah. I mean, I think, most people, I don't even think realize that. I mean, obviously, you've grown, significantly through kind of what I would call grassroots type, kind of, marketing and stuff. And, really grown, I would say a really good group of, followers, fellow breeders, before I had a chance, obviously, to ever speak with you. I mean, I'd already met like Jason Moose Fryer and stuff that's over in your neck of the woods and stuff. And I think that's been one thing I think that's always been really unique. I think about your brand is the other breeders that associate with your brand, kind of that following that you've built has always been, there's a consistency as far as the level of community and the type of person. I mean, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, how did you go about kind of building that building block, or I don't want to say empire, but, getting to where you are today from that kind of marketing and outreach perspective?
I had to do the complete opposite of what's my nature, man. I had to just reach out and be social. Like naturally, I'm like reclusive. So
right.
I just had to reach out and just meet people. And big thing is if it's at all possible, I buy snakes in person, I'll drive ways, all those kind of things. And if anyone ever wants to do some kind of collaboration or something, I'm pretty much always a yes, man, as long as my schedule allows it. But and anytime I travel anywhere, I look up who's in that area and I make sure to go meet them. And it's just it's all about networking. That's what it's about, all about networking.
And see, I think that's a unique piece there that you mentioned when you travel and figuring out who's in that area. I feel like that's something that's overlooked. I mean, before the pandemic, I used to travel, I think roughly around 96% of the time, I think. So it was, at home, on the road, all over the place. And I think just like you referenced, I think it's, we have just across the US alone. I mean, I don't know how many different breeders of reptiles, ball pythons, hognose, leopard geckos there are, but it's got to be in, at least the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, I feel like potentially, just of breeders without even counting keepers.
Right. And that's something too. So when I look around too, I try not to limit myself to a specific niche, only ball pythons or certain levels, just meet everyone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just meet everyone.
Right. Yeah. And I think the other thing too is that, I mean, I think you've set up a business. I think that, a lot of people, I think, try to hit a model like that, but they don't always do it, which is, I think, you have your ball python business, which, is what I got introduced to you from, actually, ironically enough, and I'll reference this. I mean, I actually found out about you via when I started coming back in, switching from basically doing lizards with things like Euromastics, stuff, switching over to ball pythons. When I had an egg-bound snake, it was actually your video, which was the one of going through 5-6 different things that actually, 21 days later is the reason that girl is still here, is still viable. So I think that's what's unique is you've provided the social media aspect, but you've built those pillars. You've got your leopard geckos, your hognose, and your ball pythons. And I would say that you do significantly well in all of those. I mean, is there a trick to the trade to being able to, work with, 1, 2, 3 species and be able to kind of drive that at, a high success rate across them? Or is it just, old school elbow grease?
A lot of elbow grease and a little bit of luck, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't right now, since we've moved, it's kind of worked out to like where I'm the slow time for my ball pythons is when leopard geckos and all that
Yeah.
stuff's going on. So it just kind of like I just have a busy year. It's just depending on whatever
Yeah.
species is going.
Yeah.
That's pretty fortunate for me because if everything dropped in the same couple of months, I'd be like, oh, I can only focus on ball pythons.
Yeah. No, exactly. Gary Arner, he's saying 173,076.5 breeders. What's the point half breeder, Gary? Is there like are they halfway in, halfway out?
Yeah, halfway out. They're on their way out.
I actually like this one that Nick Kennedy put in, Small Town Exotics, Big Town Energy. That was actually that was my second choice for the title of this episode.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I might have to steal that tagline there.
You need to put that on. You should put that on the shirts or something like that. Small Town Exotics, Big Town Energy.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that too.
Look at that. Hey, Bob, thanks for joining.
Man, Bob's the man. Big shout out to Bob, man. He's a great guy.
Is he leopard gecko, ball pythons? Or?
Ball pythons, and he actually came to my house when I lived in California, man. He was a legendary, like famous fisherman, bass fisherman.
I got you.
Got into ball pythons, and he's a great guy. Look him up on Morph Market.
Yeah, no, definitely. Nick Kennedy, all yours, but I got to make the shirts. Yeah, I mean, as we look kind of, I think, this year, I think has been really interesting, I think, for everyone in the reptile community. And we're not going to go down all the different propaganda and whatnot that's been down there. I mean, everyone can see it, read about it, make your own decisions yourself. But, I think there's been a lot of turmoil. Some people have been freaking out more than others and stuff. I mean, I would say, you're one of the few, I think, that's been very, steady about it still, I think, pushing the things that matter the most, USARK support, when things happen in Florida, Florida Fish and Wildlife. I guess when the industry goes through these cycles like that, what kind of keeps you, I guess, one, kind of going, and kind of two, keeps you kind of level-headed and focused? Is there anything specific you do? Is it music or other hobbies, family?
Yeah, music's a big thing, man. And trying to stay off of Facebook as much as possible. It's hard because on one side I'm over there trying to promote things, so it's natural to scroll around. But I'm not immune to getting worked up either. I just usually 99% of the time I choose not to type a message. But
no, right, and I think that's that's an important piece there. I think if you're going to be anything public facing sales, you're always going to have someone that's going to get your goat. And I think that's the lesson, I think, for anyone on here, that's newer breeder or just getting into the sales side of the breeding side, is the, choosing not to write the message. I think that it's real easy to go tell someone to go kick rocks or something. But it's that much easier. Just, sometimes silence is golden.
And contrary to some people's beliefs, if you're like, I'm associated with Small Town Xotics, even when I'm speaking from a personal page, whatever I put on my personal account, it's still going to relate back to Small Town Xotics.
Right. 100%. I think that's a big thing too, folks. In this industry, I would say more so even than other industries, it's so personal based, because I could probably name off, there's a huge chunk of breeders I know when I started getting into the ball python side of things, where, and even on, I hate to say it, but even in like the monitor lizard side of things, like a lot of us, we list them off. Oh, hey, do you know so-and-so? We don't list their business off. Like most people, like monitor wise, when we reference like Mike Stefanini, who's like the godfather of monitors, we say, hey, do you know Mike? We don't say like, hey, do you know Mike's monitors? We just reference the name. And I think it's the same thing. Ball pythons, most people, if you're around, they'll say, hey, do you know Shane Kelly? Do you know, Brock Wagner? And some people have the name in their actual business, but others don't. So I think that's a really good point, is, and how much do we post from our personal pages into the different ball python groups versus our business page?
Right. Yeah. Some of those groups I'm in as the business, I don't even remember why, or some I'm in as me, and I don't even know what account I'm talking from half the time. So just just act like you're always speaking for your business. You know?
No, right, right. I mean, so I mean, I know you do, some shows and stuff like that, but I mean, is there one you got, consistently or coming up that's going to be kind of your grand finale or grand poobah of the year?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the Tinley October. I've in
Okay.
with Moose from Great
Yeah.
Balls of Fire, and that the Tinley show is gonna probably be my mainstay because it's drivable in one day. I don't have to split it up, and it's just it's just the spacing, the timing of those shows works for my breeding schedule too. So
yeah. And for folks that don't know, unless that spot has changed, I mean, I know Moose has had that one for a while now. It's in like the first like 2-3 rows right off the entrance, guys. I mean, you can't miss it with the black and the red. It's actually ironic that both Shane and Moose, like, they have the same color, so it's like the perfect color combination. They have their fancy mat, so if you want to rest your Achilles from walking and standing, I mean, that's the place to go. And I mean, I'm surprised he's still available, and I hope that he doesn't make it to Tinley unless maybe now he's gone. I mean, we got to bring him up because I feel like I've bugged you about him multiple times. The Krypton Highway combo boy.
Yeah, man. I actually pulled him off the market, so I'm gonna keep him and breed him now. He's over on the holdback side. So.
I don't blame you. I mean, that clutch there, I mean, that thing was killer. I mean, I always made the joke too. I mean, if that was the one for sale, what did you hold back?
Yeah. Yeah, the reason for that is because he was a male, and I invested money in males. That's during that same time. I'm like, well, how many males do I need? But now I just pulled them. I was like, it's just going to be fun to breed them.
Yeah.
Figure out what exactly is in him.
Right.
A couple people say they think he has all the genes, which is a lot, so.
Yeah. I mean, every time I looked at him, I mean, I feel pretty confident, like this, and this, and that. It's like, I always get down to like, there's like one of them that you're like, I'm like 50-50 on the fence. It's like, well, it's either this or it's not. And you're like, at that point, it doesn't really matter because there's so many codoms plus the recessive allelic in there that you're like, it's a double allelic combo at the end of the day. I mean, that's not easy to hit, especially when the one's a recessive allelic on top of it.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think I'm going to repeat that pairing too. Like, I don't normally repeat the pairings, but I'm like, I think I want to repeat that one, man, because I had some good stuff come out of there. So
no, right. I mean, I think for a lot of folks too, I had questioned that for a while. I mean, I have a lot in both the highway and the freeway projects and stuff. And I'd question, like, I like the way the look of the clown always looked. And I always said, well, do I want to go cryptic? Do I want to go Krypton? And then in my head, I'm like, I don't know. And then I saw you post that. And I didn't have a chance to get over, but I had one of my buddies go over and look and talk to you about it. And he was like, dude, man, it looks way better in person than it does in the picture and stuff. I mean, it's so different, I think compared to most, highway, freeway combos. I think it breaks up the dorsal enough, I would say, but it just gives enough just uniqueness to it. I think that's what, folks always look for, is just kind of the uniqueness and pattern, contrast, color.
Yeah. And it's got like a pinkish tone to it too. It's pretty trippy. It's hard to take pictures of that snake, man. It's real hard.
Yeah, it's like a pinkish peach color almost. I mean, is how I would describe it. But
yeah, it's a cool snake. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, I'm gonna breed them. So we'll figure out what's in.
No, right. I had to bring them up on it. Like most people know me, I'm a big highway, I'm a big freeway fan. I feel like, probably at least 50% of my projects roll into one of those or to the other. So, I mean, Hognose wise, I mean, what do you got playing around this year? I mean, we got hoggies coming out. I mean, I feel like I've seen a couple of things posted here and there, but
I'm only having, I've only bred one female this year. So she laid a clutch on Mother's Day. And right now I'm thinking if she lays on Father's Day tomorrow, it's going to be pretty cool. But I've only bred one female this year, so I kind of did a reset on my breeder stock for Hognose, and so I'm still at the growing phase or whatever. I'm waiting for some females. I'm like, they're a little on the small side, so I only bred one of the biggest one I have. So
no, definitely. And I think the one thing I know I have to bring up, just because I know that there's probably enough scaled up folks in the chat here right now, there are leopard gecko breeders that they'd be very hurt if I didn't bring it up. You work with Owlby Snow, which I know David Xotics loves, and he was super excited. He was the first person that knew you were going to be actually on before I even let anyone else know. So cool. He was super excited about that. I know Gary loves Owlby Snow, so I mean, kind of what was the reason, I guess, why you decided to go down that line? I mean, what got you excited about that project?
I liked what I seen, and it was actually a gecko that Evan from Decked Out Geckos posted, and it's on his postcard, like when he sends out geckos. And I was like, man, that gecko, it's an Albie Snow ghost. I'm like, dude, I want to put some like bold and stuff in there and go that direction with it. And I just, that's an older line that's making a little resurgence and everything. I'm like, I want to be a part of that. And I don't do a massive amount of leopard geckos, so it's just like, I'm just like, I just want to be one of the gatekeepers for that, man.
Right.
And, so I bought two, one from Blizzy Bold Leos. Big shout out to Greg. That's my female. And then she's an extreme bold Albie Snow. And then I got the Albie Snow ghost from Evan. So my male didn't breed this year, so I just have a couple Albie Snows that I produced this year. But I plan on just messing around in bold stripe and stuff like that with it for right now. And what pops out, man.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing too, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's Leos, Hoggies or balls. I mean, there are so many breeders, I think, some that are getting out, getting in right now, as some folks decide to transition out, others that are kind of, I would say, kind of looking to reorganize and stuff, as a lot of folks are this year. What do you give them as far as advice, when they're looking or thinking about a project or where they want to go with the project? I mean, are there like three things that you always think about, like in your head, that you like have to answer these things and you say, yes, this is the direction I'm going to go take a project or something?
Well, first of all, I have to actually enjoy looking at it. That's like, because anyone that's spent any time with animals, like the reptiles, like you got to enjoy opening your tub. So I have to enjoy looking at it.
Right.
It has to be, there's two sides to that. So like, I like stuff that is common enough that people will buy whatever. I'm not going to hold back,
Yeah.
We'll just use clown. I mean, anything clown related, but you could take that in so many different directions too. So options open, common enough, like nothing against anyone that works Xanthics, but I've stayed away from Xanthics and ball python. Like, there's just so many lines. Like, how do you market that to someone? And I'm just like, whatever, I stay out of that. So that's my main thing. And like, and obviously a little bit of the return on the investment too. So I'm not going to go drop $10,000 on some unheard of something or other, peanut butter jelly sandwich morph. And I'm like, man, has there been work put into it? So like, if I think it can still return a little bit later on, because now I'm at a point like where the reptile business, hobby, whatever you want to call it, it's like a self-funding, self-supporting entity. So I can't sink that ship,
No, right. And hey, Chris Eden, thanks for dropping in on my small, tiny little podcast. So I appreciate it. Thanks for dropping in, legend.
I think he's calling my wiener lame or something like that.
But
so, that's just some of the things. The main thing is I have to like it, and it has to be like, there has to be a little bit on the rare side, or if it's like a gene like clown or something, it has to be something I can take my own direction. That's kind of where I'm at with those.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it too. I mean, I always tell people too this. I mean, I always look at it, I'm like, do you, if you're looking to add a new gene, I always go through three things. Do you like the gene? Do you love the gene? Do you want to live with the gene? That's kind of the way I throw at it. Because I mean, if you like it today, you got to be able to love it, because you're going to have it in your collection for at least 3 to 5 years to start actually adding more stuff into it, the way I look at it, especially if it's a recessive. And then, do you want to live with it? Well, if it's a recessive or a long-term project, you're going to be stuck with that for, probably 10 plus. So if you don't want to live with it, don't keep it in your racks.
Yeah. And do some research too. Like, I bought some things in the very, very beginning. Like, I was listening to way old podcasts, and I bought some like spider combos, like before I even had Small Town Xotics. And then once I got up to speed with the current times, I was like, oh, that was a bad decision. But I mean, they weren't expensive, so whatever. But do some research and some things you got to see in person though. Like, I wasn't a fan of hypo until I seen it in person and stuff like that. Cypress, I really love Cypress once I actually brought it in the collection and started making combos. I was like, man, I've been kind of sleeping on this. I knew I liked it, but then once I started actually producing stuff with it, I'm like, now I love it.
Yeah. And I think that that's a good point. Like you mentioned with Cypress. I mean, I was one of those people where it's like, man, I would always see it and I was kind of always questioning, and it was kind of the same thing until I bought it in, until you work with it, until you start actually working it in, you don't realize it. I think with that, I think bongo is another one. You see a lot of folks, they sleep on it, they don't think about it, then they start working with it and like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, I mean, seeing it in person, I think that that's the important part, folks, about shows, whether it's a local show or not. Even if that person's not looking for your $3,000 snake today, they need to see what it looks like in person before they buy it. I always tell people, how many people buy their car online versus go in person to see it, check it out, take it for a test drive? I think most people still do that in person. Maybe, I don't know. Do people buy them online now?
I wouldn't buy a car online.
Right. Yeah.
Just looking at pictures. No, that's not.
Yeah. I mean, I make the joke too. I mean, Sunset was one of the first recessives that was shown to me when I went into ball pythons. I mean, it took me 5 years before I finally bought a Sunset. It took me 5 years of people showing me ones. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this, until something sparked in my head that said, I like this. I can do this, and I can put this into this. So I think that's the other thing too. I mean, I think it's constant reevaluation, I think, is what people need to look at. Just because you don't like something today doesn't mean you're not going to like it in 2 years or 3 years, type of a thing.
Right. I always try to live just everything in life under like Bruce Lee's philosophy of just be water, man. Be prepared to like adjust and, be prepared to pivot.
Yeah. Acid's my favorite too. I didn't know it was going to be my thing, Smoky Mountain balls, until I produced too many of them last year. I didn't think I was going to hit that many.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Acid and Confusion too.
Acid, Confusion, Static, I think, is the other one that's all the same, just different expressions at best, if you want to call it that. But so, I mean, looking into the season, obviously, I think a lot of folks, to a degree, I would say, are having kind of late seasons, it seems like, or, not hatching a lot. I mean, are there certain, clutches or projects that you're excited about? I mean, it's okay. I mean, I get excited about stupid things like double and triple head still, but I mean, is there something that you're excited about? You're like, man, I can't wait to see if I hit X, whether it's to set up for something or to finish off a project you've been looking to try to hit something on?
Well, I opted to breed for not this year and breed for years down the road. And I'll be having like a bunch of visual genetic stripes. I'll have to test out the clown side, and then I was breeding for Het Desert Ghost and all that stuff too. Now I'm like, whoa, Desert Ghost, what it was. Maybe I should have bred for visuals this year, but it's like they've all ovulated and like they're all pre-lay and shed in the pre-lay shed phase and everything right now. So I'm looking forward to pairing that Cypress Het Cryptic again too. Rattle Cypress Het Cryptic. I want to pop some more stuff out with her. So that's Kryptons, man. I kind of like, I was like, man, hopefully I hit those one day. I don't know if I want to buy in or whatever. And then when I hit them, I was like, man, this is like really cool. And it's a Lilic with clown. I think I'm gonna, put a little focus on Krypton.
All right. Itself. Yeah. You got Leviathan here all excited. He's asking for a collab.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm actually taking my my Sunset down to them next weekend.
Yeah.
The Sunset project for me has been riddled with bad luck, man. I should have had visuals on the ground already, like throwing up and stuff. And so I'm down to I have a visual Sunset female, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm taking it down to them, and we're gonna film some collabs, and we'll talk about it more on one of our channels. But
right. I think that's
Sunset.
I think that's an interesting thing too. So obviously, from my side, I mean, I just do the podcast. I don't do my own personal side. I've just I don't think I have enough to talk about on my personal side. But when you looked, obviously put out, content to drive that, for your brand, to get viewers interested, is there like either a type of boxes that you check, or just like, oh, this would be cool, and you just decide to just kind of spur of the moment do it? I mean, what do you go into and put it? Because at least to me, a lot of it, when I look at it, I mean, there are some good pieces, like I referenced, like the egg bound one. I feel like that was very, strongly, like nicely set out, laid out, referenced. It was like its own little like can do, home improvement type channel thing going on, but for snakes.
Yeah, those videos like aren't like blockbuster hits overnight, but those like that video, the how to build your own gas chamber for rodents and how to build a freedom breeder rack. Like those videos still like I still get comments and hits on those ones. So if I go back all the way to square one, I hooked up with Miguel like real early on before I even had a logo or anything. I just knew my business name, and he's the one that was like, start a YouTube channel. I told him, all right, once I start having babies, he's like, start now, so people know who you are by the time you have them. And I was like, that makes sense. And then I just started rolling from there. So I just kind of started filming my adventure, and I finally found my groove. Like I tried different videos of different sorts. Like I'm not the explain genetics type guy. I understand what everything's going on, but I'm not the professor, So
right.
So you kind of find your groove and stuff, but it's really paid off for me. And then hitting Instagram and stuff hard too, because I don't put all my eggs in one basket. Like if you lose a platform, you have all these other things to back up on. I mean, there's drama with other platforms right now, and like that thing could disappear and I'm still okay, because I've been using other avenues this whole time. I don't rely on any one specific thing. It's a conglomerate of multiple sources that I move my animals from. So I'm prepared to pivot. Be water, man.
No, yeah. I think Chris is saying that you need a new microphone. I think he's going to buy you a new mic.
Man, I got what? This one ain't good. Hello.
I can hear you fine. Apparently, Chris doesn't like it. Maybe it's too loud. Maybe it's too quiet.
Let me see. It says I'm on the Yeti, so
you sound fine on my end. I don't know. Maybe Chris is just busting your balls a little bit. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, like you kind of referenced, I think, some of the different videos out there and stuff, building that brand going, not just for one. I think, just recently over like the past month, you did that one around kind of some of the different, reptile social media. And like you referenced, I mean, it's not about using one. I'm going to use both. And why? Because, I hate to say it, but more avenues, or what do they call them? Funnels, I think, in marketing is what they call them. Marketing funnels, folks, marketing people on here, maybe.
Yeah, Leviathan could explain that a little bit better in marketing terminology. But I always choose to use the like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I use like Reptipost and Herp Social.
Yeah.
And there is different people on both of those platforms, and there's crossover too. So,
Chris.
I'm in and out. Man. All right. Wow.
I'm not getting that on my side, folks. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, folks, you can also throw it in the chat. I mean, if there's something if you either have a really good Shane story or a question you want to throw for Shane or hot burning topic, feel free to throw that in there. Try to keep it semi-appropriate. We'll leave it at that.
How do I sound now? Am I okay? Should I hold it up like this? So, yeah, I just I feel comfortable just spreading it out though over multiple platforms. So like, what if I got a ban from Facebook or Instagram or something? I mean, I got to have other ways. Or what if YouTube banned me or whatever? You never know. Yeah. I highly doubt any of those bigger ones would go bankrupt and shut the doors, but I mean, it's possible that you never know, so.
No, right. Hey, Bob, what'd you get from Miguel? This sounds interesting. You just pulled the trigger on Sunset. I want to know what you got, Bob. Don't keep us all on the fence. I mean, are you keeping this under wraps? Otherwise, we're gonna have to bring you on Tread Season 2 to release what you got. Don't hide stuff from us now.
Bob would be a good one to have on, man. Bob's old school. He's so cool and so chill.
Yeah. Hey, Will, how's it going? He's our podcast review guy. So hopefully keep us in your good graces, Will. He just had
his show still hasn't came out though. I think it's all talk.
I don't know. We got to give him a shout out though. I mean, he just had that puzzle clutch. He's waiting for him to shed. I know patiently. I think he's got some real nice puzzle combos coming. So excited to see those shed out for you though, Will. Let's see what Leviathan's going here. How are you planning on taking your business to the next level beyond where you are now? Whoa! So he threw a next level displays reference in there.
Honestly, I was going to talk to Leviathan when I'm down there at their house about what they think my next steps are, because I'm just a nose to the grind,
Yeah.
hard work and elbow grease type guy, but I have hit a plateau. So I was wondering, I was going to talk to them since they're better at the marketing side of stuff than I am.
No, I mean, right now, like you said, I know we were talking before the show, like a lot of it's just, kind of grinding it out, elbow grease. And I mean, I'm a big believer kind of in that concept too, that it's, you get as much out of what you put into it. The more time you put into it, the more hours you put into it, the more you message people, talk to people, the more hopefully that, that returns, a net positive. Is there any, specific, whether it be, promotional based things or sponsorship type things that you've tried to do to try to, stack that brand or build that brand or kind of, grow or hit different markets?
Yeah, I have because I had to back off on the YouTube content compared to what I used to put out just for personal schedule reasons. But I have started to sponsor other podcasts and stuff like the ones I enjoy and the ones I know have a positive influence and stuff. So I did start sponsorship. I think it's been about a year. Yeah, because I start like my first the first podcast I sponsored was Holdback Rack, and I'm due to pay them, right now. So yeah. So I started sponsoring and going on other podcast platforms. Now I'm on here. That's part of my networking and everything too, but reach more people and more audience. But
look at this. Will's putting the date out there. So end of this month, folks. You want to tune in there to Will's Hella Heat. He's got a new podcast. He's going to be reviewing all of our podcasts and saying what's good, what's garbage, and what we need to fix. So hopefully there's more good than garbage on mine, but I guess we'll see.
I think Chris Eaton says it the best. He says something about Will has invented a made-up job critiquing the other people that made up their own jobs.
Yeah. And Nick Kennedy, I know Will's on YouTube. I'm not sure all his platforms, but Will, feel free to throw that in the feed there though as well. So I think we've kind of talked about, we've gone to a couple different breeding things. We've gone to do a lot of different pieces, with the business and stuff. I mean, when we look at reptile industry 2023, we're already looking ahead to 2024. At least I do every summer. Summer I always kind of call that middle of the year, and then Tinley on after is like that back half craziness, and then everyone breathes in December for like a month, and then it starts back up again. When you look ahead to 2024, what are things that you're hoping to either see in the industry, new developments you're hoping to see in the industry, or maybe that's new outreach or locations or shows or USARK movements? I mean, what's something that you're hoping to see kind of going into 2024?
I want to see some more reptile classified sites out there, man. I want to see some other avenues for people that don't have a social media presence. They can offer their animals up with everyone else. That's what I want to see. That's a big priority in my eyes. Not that I'm working on it, but there are other people out there working on those things. So that's a big thing. But I have to backtrack though, because you said this, to me, the middle of the year is the beginning of 2023 for me. So like this is the beginning of my season. So I haven't even thought much about 2024 yet. So
I do everything like based on, I feel like fiscal years. I like look at them like, well, when July hits is the start of a new fiscal year. So like I'm just already thinking the next year. Let's see, what did Bob get? Bob picked up a visual male 66% het DG and 2 female 66% double het sunset DG, sending in sheds to RGI to test for DG. Oof.
Oh yeah, good job, Bob.
He went right for the jugular there with the double recessive project. I dig it, Bob. I dig it. We're gonna have to talk, Bob. If you've got a Instagram or Facebook or something like that, Bob, let me know. Hit me up. I definitely want to talk to you and see if we can get you on and start talking about your collection, because sounds like you're hiding some goodies.
Yeah, Bob's a great one to have on. He's not big on the social media side though, so Bob, get on that, man. At least start up a Facebook, Bob.
And I think that that's, you know, a unique point as well. I mean, if you go to Tinley, you'll find more of that. If you go to some of these local shows, maybe you don't, you know, I don't know, at least in my area, I feel like most people I've seen have social for the most part. But um, there are those people I feel like if you're in the industry, you know, and you know that they have some like top notch stuff and, you know, they've got, you know, 10, 15 amazing things kind of, you know, hiding away in their rack. And there are some that have social media, but they don't share a lot. Like I know like puzzle project wise, like Barry Swope. I mean, he's got some sweet hypo puzzle project stuff going on.
Right.
And like if you're in the industry, you know Barry. If you're in the puzzle project, you know Barry. If you're just new getting in, you don't know him. I mean, did you have a strategy for trying to get to know some of those people maybe that don't have that type of a presence to try to obviously expand your network, but also potential, you know, obviously either, you know, new project bring-ins for animals and stuff?
Yeah, that's just part of like whenever I used to travel for work. So that was just part of reaching out to the local community wherever I was working at. But I usually it's I don't how do I put it? So like in the YouTube universe, all the YouTube people kind of know each other and you kind of
Yeah,
branch out from that too, man. And then you hear word of mouth from them, like, oh, you should go check out so and so from my area. He
right.
doesn't social media much. So I mean it's just about keeping track of names and everything, but it, it's about meeting people though too. So like
Yeah,
a good example is I went to Indianapolis and hooked up with the people up there and met a bunch of good people. That's how I met Ryan Hayes from 31 South
yeah,
Exotics. And he's got a small, powerful collection, man. That guy
yeah,
produced some quality, top notch animals, man. And but I kind of kicked him in the butt then though. So you see him like Instagramming and stuff, but back then
yeah.
he wasn't doing much of stuff. So but that was kind of through Precious, who was a YouTuber. So like I got
Right.
to that area and then started branching out from there.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think that's, you know, another point. You know, I think folks just need to put themselves out there. You know, I think that they need to learn that I don't want to say failure, but you know, missteps, mistakes. I mean, that's part of the business, that's part of the game. And just I think, you know, I think, you know, Shane, I think you would probably, you know, echo the same thing here. I feel like, you know, if you're willing to be open about your mistakes, people are going to be more trusting of you. They're going to follow your brand because they feel that you're, you know, an honest brand, a brand with integrity. No one's perfect. But if you don't put yourself out there and at least open yourself up to mistakes or, you know, blunders or stuff, you don't have that chance.
Right. I mean, we're all human, and it's good for people to see the human side of stuff too. And I'm a big proponent of it's not always rainbows and unicorns, and that's
Yeah.
what when I was like doing my channel, that's a lot of what you see, and you just only seeing the good stuff. So then that's
No,
why
right.
I started putting the videos out about like, well, this went wrong. Oh, this baby was born deformed and stuff like this stuff does happen. So other
Yeah.
people, when it happens, they realize because your first instinct as a breeder is like you cut open an egg or it
Yeah.
doesn't pip and you cut it open, however you're doing it, and you pull out like, man, did I incubate wrong? And blah, you know, you always think it's you, but I mean, it's nature though, too.
Right.
So just let
Exactly.
other people know it happens, you know, stuff happens. So
Yeah. Let's see with Leviathan. Hey, Bob, RGI is planning on releasing the sunset test in roughly the next 2 to 6 weeks. So you'll be able to test for both.
yeah, Bob, I would hold on to those sheds till the sunset test
Oh, yeah.
is ready. And then well, you could test the visual DG or the visual sunset, but hold the doubles
Yeah.
so you can test for both.
No, right. I think that brings, you know, up another point. I mean, we had Charlie on, I mean, just last week, you know, from, you know, genetic testing side. I mean, kind of, I mean, I know I've seen you, you know, have sent some tests out and stuff. I mean, you know, where are your thoughts as far as on that, how you're utilizing that or arming your collection with that kind of information and using that kind of going forward? I mean, are you all in? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you still on the trying to figure it out phase?
Well, I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'll test whatever is going to be my holdbacks for sure, but
Right.
I'm not in the camp of I'm going to test out every clutch I hatch, and
Yeah.
I'm not about that either. And then like the DG test, it's still not figured out all the way. I mean, you could test for the A or the B and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to test like two of my animals that I got here, breed the ones that are currently breeding. But other than that, I'm not going to like go test all my other DG related stuff until maybe the test has evolved more and stuff.
Yeah.
Too. So,
No,
I mean, it's
exactly.
a science. It's always working. But I use Charlie for my hypo stuff and everything, man. I love Charlie.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. I mean, Charlie was a good luck charm because a lot of the stuff that I think I only had one of the possible hets come back as it wasn't het. Everything else was het. So I was like,
Yeah.
hey, Charlie's good luck. So
Yeah, no, Charlie's been my good luck for all my asphalt stuff, all my asphalt clown and asphalt G stripe stuff. So hoping that luck continues with Charlie.
yeah, so I'm all for genetic testing though. And in
Yeah.
fact, because like we did a little bit of dog stuff and everything, I'm like, why don't we have these kind of tests for ball pythons?
Yeah,
And then it started coming out. But
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the more information you can get about anything, if you want to, that's cool, man. I don't think that the market should ever trend to where you have to have everything full
yeah.
panel tested. And I mean, that just adds a lot of time and weight. And
No, right. And the way I've always put it is I look at it like the same way, because I've always joked, obviously ball pythons, I say, are, they're living art, is
Yeah.
exactly what it is. And the same way with leopard geckos, hoggies, boa constrictors, a lot of it is.
Right.
But I always joked about it. I'm like, did anyone ever really go up to Picasso and like chip off part of an oil painting and say, are we sure that this is, 100% oil painting or something? Like if he mixed something else in, no one cares.
Right.
Because they still like it. So if the customer likes it, if people still love it, if people still share it, if people still look at it, it's still worth something. Nothing changed. Yeah. So
yeah, and like I kind of mentioned, I've tested some of my breeders because I'm breeding them. So I want to know, like, are they yellow belly or gravel or whatever. So then that way I can make an educated pairing later on with them, So and some things I proved out the old school way because the pairings were already in place when the testing became available. So
yeah, no, I mean that's how I was this year. I mean, I looked at everything that I was proving out. If it was already eggs on the ground or already 25 plus millimeter follicles, just let it ride and see what happens. If it was yet to be paired or under not yet to be paired, test it out. Because otherwise, I mean, I hate to say it, but if eggs are on the ground, what do you want to do? Find out your bad luck twice in a row?
Right. I did test one snake that was a yellow belly or gravel, and I just went ahead and tested it because I'd already bred it. And I'm like, well, let's see. I mean, if everything's true, just for my own information. And it came back as yellow belly, and then her clutch hatched, and I had ivories in there. So
yeah. No, I think that's another point too. I mean, for folks, I mean, obviously, like we said, I mean, I hate to say it, anyone that says anything's 100% accurate is BS. I'll say that, from my perspective, I'll take the hit on that one. But statistically, people say, what is it, 99.8 or 98.7 or something like that is technically the utmost accuracy anything can ever have. So, realize that there's still a small chance of error. But, if you have questions or concerns about the accuracy of the test, you could do that. Breed it, shed it, and then basically test together and find out, results. If they're all matching, maybe that gives you enough information to start wanting to jump on in on it.
Right. Yeah, with Charlie too, I sent him a swab, so it doesn't always have to be shed.
Yeah.
So I did a swab with him for one of the snakes, like a snake I got into this shadow project, and the male was 66% hypo, so I sent in a swab, and he was able to test it that way. So, man, little things like that are cool to me, like, let's try it this way, and he's like, well, do you have swabs? I'm like, yeah, because I test for Nido. I got all that stuff already. There you go, off in the mail,
Yeah. Gary's asking about shadow. So for people that don't know, shadow is, I mean, do we still call it in a development stage of the project? I'm not in.
Southern Star Reptiles, that's their thing, and they have proved that it's allelic with the spot nose chocolate Wookiee complex. So it is one of those. It has a super that's different than all those. So it's like right at the ground level. So like I got in now after they've already proved some stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Seen the supers, seen that it's different. And so it's in that complex, and that's a good complex to be in because it has a lot of good genes. So
no, exactly. A lot of good genes, a lot of hot genes, a lot of high commodity genes that it feels like people never have enough of. But that kind of brings me to another point I was actually about to ask before the shadow piece got brought up. I mean, do you have any like either dinker projects that you're working on or not fully, proved out projects that you're hoping to, kind of work through or work out? I know some people spend the time and do that. And then other people, cut those loose and say, I don't have time to be messing, going down the rabbit hole.
I have shadow, and then I have something called melt, which has been around for a while. And the only thing I ever see melt ever react good with is Bell complex stuff. So it's just kind of there. I just kind of held on to it.
Right.
I'm not one to like buy a dinker and prove it out. Like I'm 45 years old, man. That stuff. I mean, and if I'm going to be the ground level guy, man, like I'm going to be meticulous and very thorough, and that's going to take a decade or more. And I'm like, man, maybe if I was 20, but I do like some of like the off the wall, less worked with stuff. That's kind of the reason why I got into Shadow and Southern Star Reptile. Great people. So yeah, I do like some of the off the beaten path type stuff though, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and when we say off the beaten path, I mean, are you someone that like leans towards? I mean, I always look at there's kind of like two camps. I feel like there's the people who like super clean animals and everything has to be crisp and clean. Then there's people like me that like that what I call grittiness or dirtiness to the animal. I mean, is there one side over the other? Do you like heavy pixelation and grittiness versus that real crisp, clean lines, or is it almost like a combination of somewhere in between?
It's somewhere in between because I like the clean and I like the grittiness, but I like busy pattern stuff and darker stuff. I like the contrast when you add darker jeans into stuff,
Yeah.
So I like busy patterns. That's what I like. That's my thing. And sometimes they're real clean. Sometimes, like when you have yellow belly clowns with busy patterns and stuff. I mean, you got all that stuff along the belly side and everything. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't like too much stuff that's reduced pattern, just personal preference, but some stuff I do. I mean, I like busy pattern. Yeah. So I like one of the males I bought right when I hatched that Highway Krypton. I got a Confusion Clown combo and blah blah. So I mean, I look at adding more busyness everywhere I go. That's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, I got to bring it up. I mean, too, as well. Obviously, you've done a lot of USARK stuff. You've been very, I would say, strong proponent of it. Good about trying to push people into understanding, what is it, why they should be involved. We talked a little bit on it, when Next Level was on, a little bit about USARK and the importance of it. But obviously, you have it right there in the background. I mean, I can't hit on it any better than this. But from your perspective as someone, whether they're, a keeper or a collector or all the way to whether they're a hobby breeder or a large scale breeder, why should they be a member? Why should they be, I would say, more active if they are already a member? What do you think that importance is to them and, how people can get, more involved besides just joining a membership, I think as well.
Well, I think anyone that has anything to do with reptiles or anything adjacent, like the invertebrates and stuff, I think they should all, whether they're a keeper or a breeder, be a member of USARK. I mean, numbers matter. And I specifically rely on USARK for those emails.
Yep.
Because I don't know about anyone else out there, but I don't have the time to go scouring news articles and find out what's going on where. So I rely on those emails, USARK updates, read them. If there's an action that I can take, sign something somewhere, whatever their links, I always do it and I share it and just try to give them money. I mean, they do a lot on a little bit of money.
Yeah.
So if I can ever afford it, like I'm always a member. Like whenever there's the auctions or whatever, man, I always try to donate and I jump in there and bid and try to get prices up and stuff too.
Yeah.
USARK is like my information network, and you can kind of gauge what's going on throughout the country law wise with reptiles just by reading those emails. Like, oh, Maryland's doing this and trying this, and somewhere in Texas is trying this. I mean, it's not only do they fight and lobby for our rights as reptile keepers, but like I said, that email is like my news source. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'm gonna turn the tables. I haven't done this one yet, on an episode here, but I'm gonna do it. Besides people being able to ask you questions, is there something hot burning topic or question that you've been wanting to ask just the general reptile community or get their insights on? I mean, let's turn the tables. It's the end of season 1.
Well, what's everyone's thoughts on all the drama that's going on? And what is everyone trying to stay out of that? Is everyone what's everyone's thoughts on it? I mean, I'm personally trying to stay off of Facebook and all that drama, but is everyone looking to market their animals on other platforms? What's everyone trying to do right now? People that don't have a big social media presence Are they scared? Are they affected by certain trends with classified sites and stuff right now? I mean, I've heard some whispers that some people are, because that's the only way they know how to sell their animals, are through certain sites, and that's their only avenue. So I'm just curious on what everyone's thoughts are on that, and yours. How do you feel about things?
Yeah, I mean, so Gary says it all fall where it should. So, I'm curious to see what other people start throwing in the chat. Feel free to throw your stuff in the chat regarding it. I mean, I've been, obviously from my perspective, I keep quiet on the front end. I'm one of those big believers that, from a business perspective, no one cares about my opinions. The only person who cares about my opinions are myself. It's just kind of the way I believe, or if someone asks for it. So if no one's asking me for my opinion, I'm not going to, provide it. As it relates to social media stuff, I look at it like any other large industry. So I work in tech, for day to day. And I go, well, look what happened beginning in January. Tech laid off a bunch of people. And then what happened? There were other companies that were doing well, up 30, 40, 50%. And what did they do? Well, because Microsoft did, because Oracle did, we're going to lay people off too. It becomes basically, a consistent domino effect. And then eventually you hit a rock bottom. Everything kind of levels out, everything settles, and then people start to realize that, you got to put the building blocks back up. The difference, I think, with our community is we have to ask that question of, well, I think each breeder or collector needs to ask that question. Do you have either A, the time, the knowledge, or the ability, or the want to build your own blocks and build that up? Because that's part of building a business, not having a dependency on anyone else. I always tell people you should never be dependent on one person. You should always have at least 3 outs. That's why I tell everyone when they want to breed. I said, when you want to breed, I said, always have 3 wholesalers for stuff that, like, if you miss on a bunch of stuff and it's just like a bunch of normal or normal head or whatever, have 3 wholesales. If you need to use that as a backup line besides your front end sales perspective, have multiple streams of, communication and sales, open marketing and media. So at least have 3 of those. I believe in just kind of that rules of 3 and building that out. The question becomes, if you don't have the time for those things and you're dependent on somebody else, who's going to build that platform? And I always kind of throw the question, do you really just want the same thing that you had before? The answer is no. People always want something better. They always want more money. They always want more publicity. They always want it. What? They want more for less. So, I think what you're going to see is a lot of people who are going to try to jump into this rat race that don't have the professional background, either knowledge of the industry, to understand how the different breeders, sellers, buyers work, which will go against them, or you're going to have someone that is from, the reptile industry, but doesn't have the technical open marketplace platform type stuff to jump in, and that's going to pull them back. And either those folks are going to have to learn the other piece and put the right people around them to be successful, or you're going to have someone who has both to be able to build that platform. But everyone's going to have to realize that if they want something new, there's going to have to be some concessions. It's never going to be perfect. So that's just kind of been my thoughts. At the end of the day, I just tell people, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to build my brand. I'm going to build my business, keep working, on my personal stuff as far as how I'm going to build, and not worry about my dependencies as far as other suppliers or avenues. If they fall, they fall. If they grow, they grow. Great. But, my plan is, my plan, as far as how I'm going to build it out. The only thing that's going to change is maybe how I invest my dollars from a marketing perspective.
Right.
I'll get off my soapbox.
No, you did good, man. You worded that a lot better than I could.
Yeah, look at this. Keep your nose clean. Don't dig. Yeah, exactly. No BS. Diversify. Yeah.
Diversify. Diversify. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not talking about with just animals. I'm talking about social media and the way you market, man. Stay diversified.
Exactly. Gerald, I think, put a really good point. I'll be the first one to admit there are a few social platforms that are not even reptile related social platforms that I've started to look at and go, there are no reptile breeders on this. There's no rules against not having sales of live animals on this. Maybe I should throw up a page on there and see what the heck happens. I don't know. So I think that's, something that can be looked at, because there's a couple of social media platforms right now that are, if people know, especially in the Southern California area, there are some custom ones that are for clubs and celebrities. If you can get in, you can sell to that market. There's a couple of other ones that are specific for photography and kind of what Instagram used to be 10 years ago. It's kind of like a hybrid between, those two. There's a lot of those out. I mean, I think those are other ways you show off your animals, people get interested, drives your brand, just different ways to do stuff like that. I think it's don't take your foot off the gas because everyone else is freaking out.
Right. I stay the course, man. I just stay the course. I heard a saying, I think JT had said it once, but it was like, I don't know, but it's like too dumb to know better, but too stupid to quit or something. That's right. Me, man. I don't know. I just keep going. I mean, whatever. Yeah. I'm going.
Chris has the eye roll, so either I kept it too clean or something. I'm sorry, Chris. First, you try to avoid drama as long as issues aren't too serious, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Mike was the one that did the recon on the Krypton Highway for me at Tinley, so thank you.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I mean, kind of coming down here. I mean, to the end of the hour here. Obviously, it's Father's Day weekend, so I mean, folks, anyone on here who's a father, has a dad, father figure in your life, if you haven't already, say thank you to them. Say Happy Father's Day to them. Also, as well, make sure that if you are a father, you take some time to enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, relax. Snakes will be there. Leopard geckos will be there. It'll all be there the next day. So take the day off. Actually, have some time to enjoy it all, and just get off of the social media if you are. But otherwise, I mean, I'll throw it over to you. I mean, if there's any kind of last, kind of second pieces here as we kind of come to the bottom of the hour that you want to either highlight, hit on, you want to ask people questions. If people got questions for Shane, throw it in here. I mean, this is a season finale of the Tread here. So let's end on a high note before season 2.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't have anything I need to hit on. I'm always open for questions.
No, right.
And my inbox on Instagram is always open, man. It's the best way to get a hold of me. Just putting that out there for anyone. Just go over to Instagram. I'm always on there 24 hours a day, it seems like. So.
No, yeah. I mean,
but I want to echo what you said, man. Take the day off tomorrow if you're a father or you still have a father in your life, and go spend time with family, man. That's what all this is about. And
no, right. And I mean, for folks who didn't see it at the beginning of the episode, if you don't know, Shane's got his own website. It's right there at the bottom. Go to the website. I highly suggest you read in the bio. That was a big chunk of part of the reason why I also wanted to have him on here for kind of closing out the season. I think he has a very, unique bio as far as just how he built himself, his brand, his reptile business. I think everything about, him really echoes, I think, what I believe in, which is, just putting the hard work in, grinding away, and just being you. I think he's authentically himself. So I think, again, check it out. If you don't know Shane, if you're new to him, check it out and see what he's got going on.
Thank you for all those kind words. And I want to give a shout out to Chris Eaton, because he's the one that initially built my site for me. So he did all the layout and all that stuff for me. So
look at that. Thank you, Chris. I don't have Chris's website up, but if you don't know Snakes and the Fat Man, you should go check it out on YouTube. You might be sleeping under a rock if you haven't seen him or heard of him. Definitely go check out the episodes. He's had a lot of really awesome content on there, still has awesome content coming. So, check him out, go see what's going on. And for folks that were on at the very beginning of the season, been following along, yes, this is the janitor shirt that I'm wearing. So I want to just throw it up there. If you guys want any special logo work, apparel work done, Forever Kennedy, Nick Kennedy, and his wife, shout out to both of them, him and Jamie. They're absolutely awesome. So as you can kind of see here, so we have our reptile janitor with her name. We got the Tread on the sleeve. Nope, it's on the other sleeve. So the Tread on the sleeve, and then on the back, basically we have my business. So basically all of our different guests on the Tread here, they're all going to have the option to be able to jump in on this and get their own reptile janitor shirt, because as Kevin Fink says, we're all just really reptile janitors. I mean, we come home, we clean snake shit, and we enjoy the animals, so we're all just janitors for them. So if you want to jump in on that, feel free to shoot me a comment, let me know.
I definitely want one, and it's funny because I think my screen name on here somewhere says that I'm head janitor for Small Town Xotics or something when I fill out.
Head janitor. There we go. But yeah, I mean, folks, otherwise outside of that, if you don't have any hot burning questions, Gary says take his money. So I'm guessing that's for the janitor shirt, Gary, but maybe you want to give money. Maybe you just want to give free money to Shane and me. We'll take your money for that too.
Yeah.
But
And if you go to there, there's a link tree somewhere in there with all my Cash App stuff too. So
all right.
if you just want to send money for no reason, it's there.
All right. But folks, I mean, tomorrow's Father's Day. Again, say thank you to all those father figures out there, and hopefully everyone who is a father figure, take that time off, enjoy it with your family, relax. I appreciate everyone who has joined in on this journey with the first season of the Tread. All my guests, everyone who's done my music, everything for me, appreciate it. We're still building. We have season 2 coming. As you'll see here in the closing credits, we have some fun stuff coming in July. Definitely stay tuned, and we'll still be throwing up content before season 2 starts. It just won't be the live interviews. It'll be a little bit of different type of stuff. So from my side, I'm Nick Karaskevich with the Tread. I appreciate it. And Shane, I mean, take it away with anything you want to close with.
Yeah, hit me up on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and thank you for having me on, Nick. I appreciate being on the show, and everyone have a happy Father's Day out there. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you all. Take care.